What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Forex Poppy back with another video. Right now we have FOMC going on. No setup that I like so far. Nothing's calling out to me. Definitely can understand the narrative though. So we had these static lows that we swept last week. That was the weekly objective. We displaced back, so price engineered liquidity here, hunted liquidity, retraced back to an inefficiency. Now it's coming back. It went back to equilibrium. Took out this low, ended up displacing back on the higher time frame. So we took out this low, displacing back, retracing back to equilibrium, took out another low that we put in, and then displaced back up again. So every time we take out a low, we're displacing back up, showing that we have bearish weakness, and we are in a buy program. We're expecting bullish PD arrays. So we had this 1 hour breaker block here. So it's this candle, and which is basically an order block that's traded through. So we have this highest up close candle that took out this low and then ended up trading through its high, making the order block. And also we made a 1 hour bullish fair value up as well. Price retraced back into it, held it. Now we've put in an internal sell side here. So what we're now waiting on is if price wants to retrace back here. I think that would be the higher time frame objective. Once we take out some more liquidity up here, we might come take out these sellers or buyers, buy up their stops, and then go lower, go higher. But it depends on if we displace through this high here. We have created a bearish SMT with ES at all-time highs, with looking like displacement as well. Normally there's manipulation though for FOMC, so definitely just waiting to see what price tells us. We have to wait for a structure after a move like this. Yeah, so basically that's it. Just waiting to see if we displace here, and then we've been holding bullish for value Fs, and like I said in the beginning of the week, this is going to be my target on NQ for the weekly objective. We will have this SMT the whole way through, but with the narrative, we should end up reaching here. So I'm not expecting this SMT to hold. Yesterday, I haven't traded all week. Yesterday gave us some solid setups. Right here. So I just wanted to go over that while we wait for possibly a setup today. So going into yesterday, I noticed that I have this indicator that just tells me session highs, session lows, stuff like that. It just makes it a little easier instead of having to look for it. So you never end up forgetting anything either. So I noticed that we consolidated all of Asian session, then London session took out Asia's high and then took out Asia's low. We displaced through the low. That would incur search and destroy. So all we're trying to do is take out sessions lows and highs. So then we made London lows here. Price displaced through. So we might not get here, but we'll at least get here to the London low if this is search and destroy. And I even texted somebody. I'll put it somewhere on the screen when I edit the video. But I even texted somebody like, hey, like it's probably about to be search and destroy today before the market even opened. And I took a screenshot. So I think the timestamp's probably on it. So we displaced through the low. We put in London low. Equilibrium plus the breaker. On a higher time frame, this is all just one candle. That's why I got all of them. And something that you have to be able to kind of do in your head. So we have this bearish breaker block, and then this 15-minute bearish fair value gap. So wait for price to retrace back into this and then give us the model. So we are bearish. We're building buy side here. Let me slow this down a little bit. No, that is it. So we come into price, put in this high, and then we retrace down. So now we've built up these levels of sell side liquidity. And then now we just have to wait for price to take out that high that it put in initially. does here. So then now we made this low, have to wait for the market structure shift, which is the last part of the model, before we can look to take our entry. So then we have open here. So this is how we open for opening bell. I can take off this now. This is how we open for opening bell, and we create this fair value gap. So since we already took this low, it kind of sussed me out about the trade. And then, so we come back all the way up in one candle, which was another part that kind of sussed me out. I didn't enjoy. Like, it didn't look as A+ as I wanted it to be, because I would have rather, like, we displace and then leave the fair value gap, maybe even a little bigger one, and then come back so I can take an entry. So then we come back into this fair value gap here. This would usually be the entry, and then target sell side. So then we have buy side of the curve and sell side of the curve, which is the market maker strategy. So then price just goes straight to TP, which ends up being London low.
I'm going to try to keep my composure.
So if we go back to the 15-minute, I'm waiting for the indicator to load. So we have Asia's highs and lows taken during London session. So now we have London's highs and lows that we need to take during New York session, which is search and destroy.
Because if this happens, if this happens, Max, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
So now, with us being this close to this external liquidity, I didn't want to look for anything else for the rest of the day. I just wanted to see it kind of play out. So we end up not displacing through, these lows to come here. The most conviction that we would have had is that we had the search and destroy conditions. So now we wait for price to retrace back into this fair value gap and give us the same model that we did here, just up back to London's high, somewhere up there. So now price visits, puts in the low. So we take this low, and then price just now needs to displace back up and then take some type of market structure shift. And there's nothing really clean here as well. Like, we don't have a prominent high here. On the lower time frames, it would be a prominent high, but we're already on the 1 minute. So then we have this huge candle that displaces up. So this is where you could take a stab long, take a stab long. So we make the fair value gap. This would be our entry here. Stop below the fair value gap, the candle that made the fair value gap, and then targets would be, first target would be here. So no, same thing, sell side of the curve. Now we have the buy side of the curve. And then with your runners, you can look to target buy side here and then up to the deviations, which ends up taking off. I should have went back to the 1 minute. So yeah, so it end up revisiting the fair value gap and then taking off. And then, I'm not even sure if it takes you out here or if it keeps running. And then, yeah, just continues to run up for the rest of the day. And then if we go to that, back to the higher time frame, and turn the indicator back on, should be able to take London high. So those were only two setups I saw with the day. This one just had funky candles, so I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but definitely would have paid out pretty nicely. And then this one as well. So those are